Hey everybody, this is David, aka Chessman, and I'm here to continue my series where we go over all the openings. I just want to talk a little bit at first. I'm realizing as I'm making these, basically, there's kind of a lot of information, and basically, one of my primary goals is I want you to know all your options. It doesn't mean you need to learn all of them, but I'm like it's like I'm playing the guitar and I want to learn as many songs as possible, so it's different. I'm not being bored playing the same song over and over or the same five songs over and over. Now, you may be the type of person who just wants to learn five songs and be able to play them as perfectly as possible. That's okay too. That way, whenever you're playing as perfectly as possible, and you're probably going to win your games. Now, my job that I feel my job is to give you the information, and it's up to you to decide what to do with it. I may give you some advice, but you still probably should watch all kinds of other chess videos, read all kinds of books. Like, again, chess again is something we don't have to do. It's something that we want to do. So if it's too hard, just take a break and realize the reason why you're doing it is because you want to. It's not because you need to. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm doing it because I really want to do it, and I can't think of anything else that I want to do. Um, so okay, in my last videos, I, and I'm so in my last videos, first what I did was I gave you all the openings, the first moves. There's 20 moves, and what I did was I put the scoring that I got from them. So for instance, e4 was a plus 0.36, which means it's like white's up a quarter of a pawn. And I tried to explain that that's not a big deal. It does show us which moves are the best, and I put them in that order from greatest to least. So the idea is I want you to have an idea of how many playable openings there are. Now, on some level, they're all playable, even G4 down here, even though it's a negative 120. It like when I played it against the bestchess.com bot, the engine was able to beat the chess.com bot with G4. So if you're playing someone who doesn't know the opening, G4 could still be playable. So if you're the type of person that wants, like I said, is like when you learn an instrument, you want to learn as many songs as possible. Here's all of them. But if you're the type of person that just wants to know the bare minimum to get you going, and you want to play the game as perfectly as possible with the least amount of knowledge, then start from the top. Start by learning E4 or D4. E4 or D4. That's my advice. Now, if you want to surprise your opponent, if you want to have the surprise factor, then you might want to start with knight f3 or lower. And let me just remind you, just in case you haven't seen any of my previous videos, I just want to show you my reasoning. If you go to 365chess.com or use chess.com's database, that's fine too. There's probably others as well. I heard there's one called Chessbase. That's probably fine as well. But this and Lee Chess, I'm sure has a database as well. That's probably fine. But what I was saying is it tells you how popular the moves are, and E4 and D4 have been played over 1,000,000 times. And when you start with knight f3, it's only been played 300,000 times. And if you go even lower, c4, it's only been played 200,000 times. And then g3, only 20,000 times. So the further you go down, the bigger the surprise factor you'll have against your opponent, and you might get the edge if you know the opening and your opponent doesn't. So, but again, if you're the type that wants to learn as many songs as possible, as many openings as possible, then here's all of them. And we're gonna try to go through all of them to see if they're playable, which ones are playable and which ones aren't. I think like I said, for the first move, depending on who your opponent is, I think they're all playable. But we'll just say the ones that are really playable, I would say, are from this list. H4 is said is negative 0.39. That's not a big deal. It means it's like a quarter of a pawn or less than half a pawn in favor of black. And generally when you play white, you want to play a move that gives you an advantage, not black, but it's such a small advantage that if you know the opening, you're going to be fine. So h4 and up. So so if you want to know everything, write all of them down. If you want to know the bare minimum, I would say write e4 or d4. Or if you want the surprise factor, start with knight f3 or g3. Um, we're going to go through them all at some point in future videos. So but if you want to know all, at least all the playable ones, like we'll say playable, well, what I mean is by their rating, again, negative 0.39 is not a big deal. So H4 is, according to that, is totally playable. So if you want to know all the good ones, we'll say, then copy down all these ones. So you can pause the video and copy them down. Again, if you're not the type of person that, like, basically people who are used to school, who are used to high school or college, they're in school mode and they're perfect for this because they can write all these notes down and study them like normal, like it's another course. Except you're choosing chess, so it's not something that you don't want to do, it's something you do want to learn. Okay, so we basically covered that in the first video. Then we went to e4. We covered the first moves against e4, and we started with e4 because that is the most popular, or I picked e4 because it was the highest rating, 0.36, which was tied with d4. So I just picked d4 because it was first. So we did e4, and again, I'm showing you these just in case you didn't see those videos. I suggest watching them. It's in a playlist, serious look on the chess openings. But here's your chance to pause the video and record these down. Again, if you're the type that wants to learn everything, here's all of them. But if you want to just know the bare minimum, then I would pick either e5, e6, or c5, or c6, or d6, or g6, or d5. There's a lot to go. There's a lot of playable ones, unfortunately. But if you want to know the really good ones, then go by the rating. It says e5 or e6, so I'd pick e5. But yeah, there's pros and cons to all of them. Sort of. It's just, it depends how much. There's a lot of theory in all of them. So it's chess. There's a lot of theory. There's a lot of stuff to learn. But we're gonna cover a little bit of e5 today, because we're gonna through the first one, which is e5. So again, in another video, we covered d4, and here's your second chance to pause the video and write all of them down. Like I said, if you want to know all of them, here's all of them. If you only want to know the playable ones, then I would suggest, like, playable, I'd say this one and up. But really playable ones, I would say either knight f6 or d5. Those are the best two. So it depends. Do you want the surprise factor or not? If you just want to play the best moves, then I would choose either knight f6 or d5. But if you want to play with the surprise factor, maybe see, e6 and c6 are totally playable as well. So that's not much of a surprise. Maybe g6. Maybe c5. Maybe f5. But we're going to go through all of them. So for now, you can choose which one you think you want to learn. And you can either wait for me to put that video out about it, or you can start researching yourself. Like, you can use the chess engine on chess.com, the analysis board, and you can use 365 Chess to tell you what moves are popular. So between the two, you can create your own main line. It takes time. It definitely takes time, but you can do it. But I think some of us have plenty of time, have at least an hour a day that you can put towards this. And again, it's something you want to do. And Yeah. So okay. So today we're gonna briefly cover e4 and e5. E4, e5. So again, we did e4. Now we're gonna go e4, e5. So I got another thing here. And so first of all, again, like usual, again, there's a lot to write down. So unfortunately, you're going to be pausing the video and taking a while to write things down. Unless you're able to take a picture somehow of a video. I'm not sure how to do that. Snapshot or something, screenshot. But here are all the moves against e4, e5. So again, just like usual, if you want to know all of them, here's all of them. So you can pause the video here, and then again here. Okay, so again, if you want to know all of them, here's all of them. If you want to know the playable ones, then probably King's Gambit, and then all the way up. They may all be playable, but if you want to know just the really, really playable ones, like I would say no lower than the center game. So the King's Knight variation, the Vienna game, Bishop's opening, and center game. Those are the four best. And the other ones aren't really played very often. So, and honestly, center game isn't played very often. If you only want to know one, then I would choose either the King's Knight variation or the Vienna game. That's my opinion. But the best one is by the engine is Knight f3. So e4, e5, Knight f3. So the least amount of information to know, learn e4, e5, Knight f3. And the most, here's all of them. And I'm going to try to cover as many of these as I possibly can in a separate video. It's going to take a long time. And the further I go down the list, the less opening theory there is to just copy and paste and just to read off of Wikipedia or through books. So I'm going to have to make it up on my own, which is going to take a lot of time. So, so there's the information. Again, it's a lot of information, I know, but again, if you don't want to, it's a bug. Like if you got the chess bite, there's a part of you that just wants to learn everything, and it feels great knowing everything. And then when you play the game of chess, you have so many more options than your opponent that you can just choose whatever you feel like. But it takes a lot of work, like learning an instrument. It takes a lot of work. But once you know it, it's fun. So how much do you want to have fun playing chess? Either you got to not care about winning, but if you care about winning, or you care about having a good game anyways, even if you don't win. Maybe like there's a part of me that as long as it's a good game, I'm okay if I don't win. I want to win, but if I don't, it's fine. A part of me doesn't believe that. Part of me, all I want to do is win. So that's my problem to deal with. So another thing I want to show, I do want to show, okay, e4, e5 is called the open games. It's called the King's Pawn opening, but it's also called the open games. And Wikipedia has a pretty good article on it. So if you go to Wikipedia and type in open game, it'll bring you to this site, and you should read it. It tells you a little about e4, e5, what that black controls the d4 square in the center and maintains symmetry, and it tells you a few other things. And again, this is the person who you out there who wants to really know about chess. You're going to want to read this stuff. So it gives you the analysis. It tells you it has several strengths. It immediately stakes claim in the center and frees two pieces. So it's telling you why to play this move. And then it's telling you about knight f3, knight c6. It's the most popular second move for white is knight f3. And it's telling you about that. So, and it's telling you about all these different openings, which you can learn. Like you can hover over it, and it tells you what the moves are. So you can write this in your notebook or a Word document and add that to the list of things to memorize. It says other second moves for black, other than other than knight c6. We're going to cover this stuff in separate videos, but it's good to get some theory over it. Now, what I recommend right now is to pause the video and record all of these in your notebook. Now, again, if you're the type of person that wants to know the least amount of information, then just do the Roy Lopez. Just write that down and learn that one. But if you want to know everything, I'm not saying all of these are great. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a reason why they're all here. So I believe that they're all probably playable, even if it's a gambit. Like the Danish gambit, I'm guessing you're giving up a pawn, but there's a reason why it's playable. And we're going to try to cover all of them. So try to copy all of them. So pause the video and copy all, or come to Wikipedia and just use Wikipedia and just you can click on each one. If you don't want to wait for me to make a video about it, like you can click on the Roy Lopez and see what it says about it, and you can learn about it. And then there's all kinds of different moves that it talks about, and you can learn this as well. Maybe this information is too much to copy and paste, so just look at Wikipedia and just read it and just learn it from Wikipedia instead of copying it. But if you're the type that learns better by making notes in a notebook, then do that. If you're the type that's better at making flashcards, then make flashcards. Sometimes I make flashcards. All right, so let's go back. So I'm giving you a lot of information to memorize, to learn. I don't like memorize, but memorize sounds temporary to me. But again, so depends how ambitious you are. If you're really ambitious, copy all these down, or go to Wikipedia and just go over them until you know them by heart. Play them over a chessboard. And if you don't want to do all of it, at least do the first one, the Roy Lopez. Because, like, for instance, what you could do is as white, just play the Roy Lopez, but as black, choose a different move besides e5 on the second move, and then you don't have to know any of these. All you'd have to know is the Roy Lopez. Okay, now I've also made another part. Again, I'm sorry there's so much to copy down. If you're good at just pausing the video and reading over this, and like sometimes I feel good when I see all the information with a bird's eye view, and then I just like the realization of how much information there is, and kind of just the idea of their rating, of the opening rating. It makes me feel good. Now I tend to like knowing the opening names, so I put them in here. So you could copy both, all this in Wikipedia and this. So here I have e4, e5, knight f3 in not all the responses. I have that down here, all the responses. So, okay. Here I have basically what's here. I have all the main openings and some gambits, the ones I want to go through. I kind of want to go through this whole list as well, so we probably will. I'm just trying to figure out in what order to do it. But you can also copy this down. And again, if you want to know everything, then copy all of it down. If you don't and you want to know the bare minimum, just do the Roy Lopez. If you want to do all the playable ones, I recommend the Roy Lopez, the Scotch game, Three Knights Opening, Italian game, Ponziani, Petrov, Philidor, and that's probably it. So the Philidor and up. But if you want to work on a surprise factor, maybe you want to try this knight c6 g3 for a try, or knight c6 bishop e2 if you want a surprise factor. But there's probably reasons why they are rated lower, so keep that in mind. You're basically just trying to get your opponent out of opening theory, out of their opening preparation. So if you're playing someone that you believe doesn't have any opening preparation, then you should probably play the best move, because they're not going to know what to do anyway, so you might as well have the best advantage. But if you're playing someone who knows the openings, then they probably don't know the lesser played ones like G3, knight C6 G3, or knight C6 bishop E2. So you'd want to learn those ones. Again, you're on those ones. There's probably not much opening theory on Wikipedia about them. I could be wrong. Maybe there is. Well, let's click on the Polsky opening. It has the moves, and that's about it. So it doesn't really say why it's good, why it's bad, or nothing. So unfortunately, there's very little information about it. But what you'd have to do is use what's on this website, what moves there have been played, and then use your chess.com analysis board to give it to tell you which moves are good, so you can create a main line, which will take some work. I'm going to show you how to do it, and eventually I should get to all of them. That's my plan, is to get to all the openings, even the lesser known ones. But it's going to take a while. So if you want to do it yourself, you can. If you want to wait for me to come up with it, or just learn the openings that I put out first and learn them in the order that I put them out, then you can do that. I'm trying to help you, but also teach you how to fish on your own. So okay. So here's another look. Here's a look at all the responses to E4, E5, knight F3, and I put them in the order of how good they are. So again, if you want to know all of them, which in this case I really don't recommend, because there's a lot of bad moves that I put in there, like I usually do, honestly. But it's still good to know what to do if you see them in a game. So, but really, I'm showing you this list to show you which moves are really playable. And in this situation, there's really only 3 playable moves. It's these 3. Knight f6, the Petrov defense, d6, the Philidor defense, and knight c6. Knight c6, I'll show you back here, goes into all these different openings. The Ruy Lopez, the Scotch game, the 3 Knights opening, Italian game, Ponziani opening. Those are the main ones. And again, if you want to just learn the main openings, you can come to 365chess.com, go to resources, and then click chess openings, and it'll bring you to this page, and it tells you all the main chess openings. I think all of them, and all the good ones anyways. So it says you should learn the Ruy Lopez, the Italian game, the Scotch game, and if you click on it, it has a whole document about that opening that you can read and learn. Okay, so again, I'm giving you a lot of information, and if you're ambitious, you'll learn all of it. If you really like knowing a lot of information, if you like reading encyclopedias, maybe not reading encyclopedias, but if you're the type that just likes to know a lot of information, you're going to love this game. Like, it's going to be, what have you been waiting for your whole life? And even, like, it takes a lot of information before it starts to be playable in your games. But when it does, it's going to be a lot more fun playing the game of chess, because you're just going to have more options, and you're going to understand, okay, this opening isn't as good, but it's a surprise weapon. So, you're probably going to get the advantage. And it's just fun. It's more fun doing something that like, if your opponent knows the Ruy Lopez but doesn't know the Vienna game or something, then you can try the Vienna game. But it takes a while to know all the openings. But again, once you do, then you have a huge edge, and then the game's fun. So, I'm trying to think what I'm going to do in the next video. Again, I have my big vision of what I want, but how to do it in a certain order. I'm still not sure. There's like, okay, I just went over e4, e5, and I could go over d like I could go back to my previous list and go, okay, now I'm going to go over e4, e6, which that's probably what I'm going to do. I think I want to do an overview of all these openings, or at least the good ones, and then go in depth. Like, or I'm not, or I'm going to stick with e4, e5 and start with the Roy Lopez. I'm going to have to think about it. At some point, I want to do all of it, so it's just I'm trying to think of which order to do it, which order is the best. If you have any opinions, let me know in the comments. Please, like, my videos, like, the strong suit is the information you're getting. Like, how it looks, I gotta be honest, I'm not very good at that stuff. I hope I'm gonna get better. I'm trying to learn, but I'm trying to make it so the information's really good. So please forgive me if it doesn't look as great as some other YouTubers. I really ask your forgiveness for that. I wish I knew how to make better looking thumbnails and better titles and stuff, but I'm hoping that you'll look past that and just look at the information you're getting. So I think that's it for now. I'll be back pretty soon with another video, I'm sure. I'm still trying to do my other videos that I was doing. I'm kind of wrapped up in these right now, but I still want to do my other videos where I'm playing chess. If there's another type of video that you've been watching that you like, please let me know in the comments that keep doing this. That way I know. Otherwise, I have to see how many views I'm getting and seeing which videos are getting more views or which ones are getting likes. I guess if you hit a like, that's the quickest way to let me know. So I think that's it for now. I, I don't know if you believe in God, but I totally do. And I'm hoping He guides me and guides you into. I'm hoping He guides me to tell me what information to put out there. And I'm hoping you receive it. And I'm hoping He tells you how to use the information. And if you get any good advice, please let me know in the comments. And otherwise than that, I'll see you later.